Hi there YouTube, XtremeTrainz here. So as you would have seen from my previous review, I think I reviewed the last Thomas Wood item ever, but as you would know, I originally collected almost all that I could get my hands on anyway of the unpainted Thomas Wood, and I realized kind of, given this line is winding down, we don't know what's going to come next, and how much I've kind of really grown to kind of enjoy almost the Thomas Wood weird designs for all of their faults. I decided that I wanted to pick up the Steam team in a fully painted version. So I've got the fully unpainted Steam team and the fully painted Steam team, mainly because the OG Steamies Toby, Henry, and Edward only were released in the fully painted version. So I wanted to make sure I had some, and the same with Nia and Rebecca. So I wanted to make sure I had a matching set of the Steam team. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the fully painted Gordon and see what exactly has changed between this one and the old one that came out in 2018. What are we waiting for? Let's do it. Alright, so let's take a look at this new repainted Gordon. As you can see, the box is pretty much the same as the old ones. If we flip it over again, they didn't change this bio, as they haven't changed, the bios for the reprinted one, but it's just wise beyond his years. The Guardian, if anything, to be honest, this seems to me like a bit of a preview for the personality of the Gordon I think we're getting in the reboot. But in terms of its applicability to seasons 1 to 24, it really has none. So anyway, let's get rid of this and take a look at Gordon himself. All right, so here is Gordon. I'll bring him up to the camera to do that 360 view. All right, now Gordon was one of the engines which I actually have really come to quite like in Thomas Wood, and that obviously with his silly proportions, I think they've just done a really good job of capturing a big, strong engine in Gordon. And you can see here the painted version is no different. Obviously, we've got the same face, which I think is a very good Gordon CGI face. All the right details are all there. Now we've got all this is filled in black. In terms of extra bits of detailing they've applied because he's been painted, it seems like there's some weird stuff going on with the stripes here. If I'm not mistaken, like these are really crooked, which is super weird. Which is weird because these ones, they're all a bit crooked, and I think the reason is probably because by the looks of things, like there's a top stamp and there's a side stamp, and I think what happens is, like, you can see there's a bit of overlap where those little red parts are. I assume that's where the stamps overlap and they just don't line up very well. I'm not really sure. This part, I think, also looks weirder broken on this painted version. I think when it was unpainted, it was a clear, like, it seemed like, oh yeah, they've done this on purpose. Whereas this is just a bit weird. Like, the fact that this line doesn't go all the way through, that's a bit unfortunate. Otherwise, he's pretty similar. Again, we've got that, that new quote unquote design with the pins, the writing on the bottom. We have a look at his tender. Now, tenders I've been quite interested to see. So again, you get these really, 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 really awkward looking black corner pieces printed on, which I just hate. I just think that's such a stupid idea. These lines, I think, are less weird. But yeah, I think these black corner pieces just look so dumb. They really just draw attention to the fact that this is a cube. And again, looking at this, I'm like, wow, how nice would it be if there was some printing on the ends of these? Like, even if it was just like a red square or something, or even like a line, how they've done the lines here, the line here, so that it was, the same. I don't know, something would have been really nice, because you can see they can do it. And that's the info on the bottom, but they just don't for these models. So I think, yep, this painted Gordon has a lot of the same charm as the original. If we pull in the original one here, you can see there's really not a lot of paint differences. Interesting to note, they obviously have changed some of the paint. For example, you can see that blue stripe on this one has moved further forward, whereas this one I think is more correct and it's further back. I still don't know what this two stripe thing is about. I'm going to need to look up if Gordon actually has two stripes like that, because that just to me doesn't seem right. You can see here we've got obviously this little black part here, which is meant to indicate a cutout. Here it was just nothing. Again, I think that looks really awkward. I would prefer if they didn't do that. You can see there's some very small detailing. For example, it looks like the cylinder has gotten a bit shorter on the painted version. The angles on what would be the wheel arches, they seem to be like more cartoonish, very round, whereas I think these ones are more prototypically accurate. Yeah, they're the main details that I can see the different. In terms of the tenders, you can really get an idea when you look at them like this. Like, it's just so weird. Like, I think this was weird, right? Like, this to me was weird, but I think this looks worse because it really just draws attention to the squareness of it. If it didn't have these little cuts out, I think it would be all right. But I think the cuts actually just, yeah, they really don't do any favors to this at all. But, you know, anyway, that is what it is. That is the painted Gordon. So we'll just bring him back in here. As I've mentioned, I think in some of my other reviews, I bought them for about £17.50 each, which equates to about 30 Australian dollars. Do I think it's worth 30 Australian dollars even for the painted one? Look, probably not. Especially when, you know, look, here's a great example of this. Let's look at where that is printed on this side. And on this side, it's a little bit further down. Like, that looks even more awkward because at least this one is kind of close to the top. This one, you can see they've, like, the printing is registered a bit further down, and yeah, it just looks even worse. Anyway, sorry, that was just a little side segue note there. Yeah, $30 Australian, which I think was about the recommended retail price if they would sell here. Again, I really struggle to say that it's worth $30. Yes, it's wood. Yes, it's now fully painted, but there's just still not that much of it here. And there's still mistakes in the detail. It's not like it's a finely printed, you know, model train model, which, you know, is going to have that really fine lines, those really fine details. The details that are on there are a bit wonky and a bit whack. So to me, like, you know, 20 Australian dollars for this would have been, yeah, I think that would have been fair. Maybe 25 at one of the expensive retails, but for 30, I really don't think it's worth it. As I said, the only reason I'm picking it up is because I wanted to have a painted copy of the entire Steam team. So that I could have an unpainted Steam team and a painted one. So yeah, that is my quick review of the new painted, well, not really new anymore, but the painted Thomas Wood Gordon. I'm very curious to see how it's going to stack up compared to the new merchandise incorporating the new reboot stuff. So, as always, do all the cool things you do on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. That's all we've got time for. This is XtremeTrainz.